You can hear that good though, right? Okay. Okay. Yeah. Does not envy or boast. It is not arrogant or rude. It does not insist on its own way. It is not irritable or resentful. It does not rejoice at wrongdoing, but rejoices with the truth. How awesome is that? So, moving right along. We've gone over the first part, and I'd like to merge into the listening part of the message and how listening can express love. Has anyone ever heard of listening incarnationally? Kind of interesting, isn't it? Has anybody ever heard of that? No? Okay. Everybody knows what the incarnation is. All right. Remember that. Okay? So, all right. So I'm going to read to you somewhat of just a normal skim across the surface. Incarnational listening is an extended conversation between two people where one serves as the host and listens, and the other person speaks her or his story and or experience. At the end, the host validates the speaker and offers empathy and prayer. Now, the way we're trying to apply it this morning is, put simply, it's listening with the heart of Jesus. And how did Jesus listen? Intentionally and attentively. All right, so I'm going to get away from words we are not familiar with. I want to talk about listening backed with love, listening in a loved way. So, I jumped ahead of myself just a second ago when I asked you to write something down. Think about someone who you could do a better job listening to. Maybe someone who needs desperately for you to listen to them better. Okay, that's what I wanted you to write down on the back of the page. Sorry for jumping ahead. But think about that. We'll revisit that here in just a few. We know intuitively that listening is not only important, but it's also an issue. If Jesus summarized the whole thing, love God and love others, I want to point out that we can't love well and listen poorly. We know this is an issue. It's an issue in marriages. It's an issue in politics, at work, and most definitely on social media. And we know what happens when we listen, but we also know what happens when we don't listen. We know what happens in marriages, at jobs, and in politics, and in churches when we don't listen. Often the reason we are not listening, and listen, not always, but often, is because we would rather talk about ourselves. We'd rather talk about ourselves. We love talking and focusing on ourselves. Everyone is talking, but few are being heard. And here is something, again, that we intuitively know but often forget. Our longing for intimacy will not be found in one-way communication. Not with God, not with others, not with community, not with families, not with spouses, not your kids, not your coworkers. Listening, I believe, is deeply interconnected with being an apprentice of Jesus. Our call isn't to be spectators or even just believers. It's to be disciples, be an apprentice of Jesus. We see this in a couple of places. Matthew 4:19, Jesus said, "Come, follow me, and I will make you fishers of men." We hear, then we follow. Romans 10:17, consequently faith comes from hearing the message, and the message is heard through the word about Christ. James 1:19, my dear brothers and sisters, take note of this. Everyone should be quick to listen and slow to speak. Quick to listen and slow to speak. This is easy to miss, but Jesus actually models this. He actually models this. Often we get focused on the miracles, and rightfully so. Rightfully so. But Jesus is regularly, and I'm talking about back when he was here, okay? That's what I'm referencing here. Jesus regularly stopped what he was doing. He crouches down low. He would speak with children, okay? He touched the lepers. Y'all remember that from a recent service that we had. And we all know that lepers are people that nobody would touch. Jesus makes time to listen to both the poor and the powerful. And interestingly enough, the Bible talks about listening more than 1,500 times. And what I mean by listening is the word listening or the word hearing, or I'm encompassing listening, okay? So, friends, I'm certainly not telling you what to do, but if something shows up that many times, we should pay attention. Okay? So, now we're getting to the index card. This is going to be fun. All right, so we're going to take a very quick listening test together, okay? And so one thing that I want to say first before we go any further, we're not going to be hollering out scores or anything like that, and this is something for each one of us to do as a self-reflection. Not for anybody to grade you on or anything like that. Now, if you want to get home and reverse this with your spouse or however you want to do it. But the one thing I would say is please be honest, because this is for you to see, okay, and nobody else. So the way we're going to do this, I'm going to read a question, and if the question is a yes for you, put a check mark, okay, and if it's a no, just put an X. All right, and there's no. This is just a little interactive thing here. So, number one, my friends would describe me as a responsive listener. My friends would describe me as a responsive listener. Number two, and I've got to kind of pick pace up. When people are upset with me, I am able to listen to them without being defensive. Number three, I listen not only to the words people say, but also to the feelings behind their words and their body language. Ma'am, we need a sometime. I understand. All right, number four, I have little interest in judging other people or quickly giving my opinion to them. I am guilty of that. Ooh, I'll admit I'm guilty of that one. Number five, am I going too fast? Are we able to check? Okay, number five, I am able to validate other people's feelings with empathy. Number six, I am aware of my defensive mechanisms in stressful conversations, i.e. appeasing, ignoring, blaming, distracting. I am aware of my defensive mechanisms in stressful conversations. Being appeasing, just flat out ignoring, turn the roles and blame, or distracting. In other words, your defensive mechanisms in stressful conversations, things that keep you from being vulnerable. Okay? And you may have to skip past that one, I understand. Number seven, I am profoundly aware of how the family I was raised in has shaped my present listening style. And I'm not talking about anybody's family. This is a question, okay? Number eight, I ask for clarification when listening rather than fill in the blanks or make assumptions. Number nine, I don't interrupt to get my point across when another person is speaking. And number 10, I give people my undivided attention when they are talking to me. All right. So, how'd we do? Don't say anything. Okay? I explained to everybody, this is not going to be we're not going to discuss it. So, listen, everybody can score theirself, and it is much like a test that all of us have had in school. The more check marks you get, the higher your score. Okay? But hold on, John. Don't get upset with me. I'm sorry. Keep all of this to yourself. Again, this is a self-reflection. Okay? So obviously, the more check marks you have, the better listener you are. Okay? And let me say this: if you scored an 8 to 10, you're an outstanding listener. And if you scored 3 or less, y'all picked a good Sunday to be here. No, I'm kidding. Listen, none of this is meant to insinuate condemnation or anything like that. There are areas that I need to grow in tremendously. Here's what I know to be true for us. We could all grow. We could all grow. We could all grow because I think many of us probably know what it feels like to somewhat be made to feel like what we're saying just isn't important enough for someone to give us their full, undivided attention. Would you agree? Okay. Now, real mode of honesty. Has anyone ever made someone else feel that way? Do not raise your hands. I'm not trying to call anybody out. Think about that to yourselves. Has anybody ever made anybody else feel that way? We tend to stay preoccupied with a task that we're doing or something we are really interested in. Let me pause right there for just a second. This is going to really it's going to make you think about your average day, okay? I reflected for me. At work, someone walks into my office and they start talking to me. And I'm busy doing something on my computer, and I will keep looking at my monitor and keep typing and respond to them with a uh-huh or a yeah. And basically trying to send the signal that I've still got work to do. I was already involved in something. I've still got to keep going. Okay? Keep my body facing my computer, because when you walk into my office facing my computer, they would stand right here, or someone would come stand behind me. Andre, you and Frankie know about that. And I would just keep facing the computer. And I'm trying to imply that I'm not fully invested in what they're saying because I still have things to do. So sometimes I have to stop because I have not heard anything that they have said. I will turn to them and say, I'm so sorry, would you ask me that again? So what message am I sending them? Imagine how that makes them feel. And it does not matter if it is something of great depth or if it is something just surface level. It does not matter. I am sending a signal to them that they are not good enough for me to listen. Okay? Again, no show of hands, but how many times have we done that and not meant to do it? Okay? Now, I'm going to give the benefit of the doubt. We do that, but we don't mean to do it. So now I'm really going to, I hope I really strike something here. So I'll ask you how that must have made them feel. Imagine how we would feel, and listen to me, if Jesus reacted that way to us. Imagine how we would feel. So, question for us all. When was the last time you heard someone say, man, let me tell you about those Christians. They are such good listeners. I have never met a group of people so sincerely interested to know my world and are curious about me and are asking questions, and man, they really listen to me. When was the last time we heard that? Gosh, those Christians are so good at actually not judging or being present or asking questions And I get the sense that even though we might not agree, they're actually listening. People and friends are longing to be listened to, and we cannot love well and listen poorly. Would you all agree that being a Christ follower plants within us the desire to be more like Christ? Would you all agree with that? But to also love others as He has loved us? And listen to others the same way that He listens to us? Now, don't get me wrong. We're far from perfect. And Jesus was. But we should still, as Christ followers, strive to be more like Him every day of our lives. So, I've got a couple of bullet points here, and it's 1 through 4. Number 2, I'm going to be quick, but I'm going to expand on it a little bit. So here's a couple of things that I want to share with you. Jesus left His world. He could have stayed there, but He gave up His rights to become one of us. In fact, in Philippians 2, verses 3 through 8, it says, "Do nothing from selfish ambition or conceit, but in humility count others more significant than yourselves. Let each of you look not only to his own interest, but also to the interest of others. Have this mind among yourselves, which is yours in Christ Jesus, who, though He was in the form of God, did not count equality with God a thing to be grasped, but He emptied Himself by taking the form of a servant, being born in the likeness of men. And being found in human form, He humbled Himself by becoming obedient to the point of death, even death on a cross." When we listen and listen with love as Christ does, in a way, we leave our world. We leave our world. We leave the comforts of our opinions and our perspectives, our own confirmation. We leave that for a second and take the focus off ourselves on behalf of someone else. Does everybody understand what I'm saying there? Okay. Jesus entered our world. He experienced everything it meant to be human. In fact, in Hebrews chapter 4, we read that we do not have a high priest who cannot emphasize with our struggle, because He Himself understands what it means to struggle. He spent time. He shared life. He gave full attention. And keep this in mind, Jesus was not rushed. He wasn't distracted. Do we ever think about that? Do we ever think about that? The fact that Jesus wasn't rushed, and yet so many of us are. So many of us are. We say that we want to live like Jesus and we want to impact the world for Jesus, but yet, so often the pace of our life looks so much different than His. So much. We know that it's tough to listen and to be present when we are running wide open, but yet we continue. But yet we continue. I found this quote in my studies, and I can't take credit for it, but I want to share it with you. Listening is about being present, not just being quiet. And another one is you can truly listen and do, back up. You can't truly listen and do anything else at the same time. Anyone ever tried that? Tried listening while multitasking? Again, no show of hands, but has anybody ever been successful at that? No show of hands, okay? Just some things to think about. So, to be present to a friend or a spouse while also doing the dishes or a chore around the house, or taking care of something to do with work, emails, or even your personal email, or whatever that is. I'm going to have to say that we can't truly listen and do anything else at the same time. When we're not actually present with God and with others, we can't truly listen. Jesus was present, and we can be too. We can be too. So here's a couple of ideas on how we can do that. We give our full attention, and that means putting the phone away when we start talking. And I don't mean come and put it between you and the other person you're talking to face down. I mean turn it off. Okay? Because what are you insinuating when you put the phone down in between you and the person you're speaking with? You're basically saying, hey, I'm going to go through the actions here, but just remember, if I get a phone call, it's more important than the conversation we're having. I'm going to grab it. Okay? Again, we're not emphasizing the importance of what is taking place right there between two people. Okay? We're not allowing love to come in between. Okay? Not to flow in between. I'm sorry. So imagine having full eye contact, full attention with one another, and I mean attention to the other person and reciprocated back to you for a long time, long uninterrupted time. You know, if you could put yourself, what I'm trying to compare to right there is all of the commotion and everything else that goes on that is around us every day of our life. Every day of our life. Step into their shoes. Show some empathy. What must it be like on the other side of this conversation? What kind of struggle are they actually carrying? Jesus remained himself. He never ceased being God, but he was tempted and remained sinless. I think sometimes if we do this, really truly listen with love, that somehow we think we'll compromise in the other direction, so we just avoid it. We don't have to compromise to be compassionate. You can be fully present and listening and still have whatever convictions you brought to the conversation in the first place. In a divided world, we often listen to respond, not to understand. Have you ever engaged in a conversation and somebody's speaking with you and they're going through whatever they're trying to convey to you, a thought comes to your mind and you cannot wait to get in there just to put your comment out, to make you appear to be wise, that you're smart, that you think you might have an idea of what they're going through? I have to be honest with you. So a lot of self-conviction in this when I was putting this together. I do that. You're hearing someone and it's with good intentions, usually. Like, I want to be helpful in this conversation. I want to give good advice, but really beneath that, I want to be seen as wise, or I want to be seen as helpful. I don't want to waste your time, so rather than listening to understand, I listen to respond. And listen, the opposite of listening isn't speaking, it's waiting to speak. It's waiting to speak. So maybe it's not what I need to say to this person, but perhaps, what do I need to know about this person? You think maybe they'd change the conversation just a little bit? Maybe your interaction within the conversation. Okay? So, German philosopher Paul Tillich put it so plainly. He says the first duty of love is to listen. Here's the truth. We can stop right now. I can stop going over this. And maybe there's some ideas and principles and we can just go and apply, be a better listener. I'm going to go just a step further than that. I think the thing beneath all of that is a matter of the heart. And I think it's the position of the heart, okay? And what I'm going to go over into the area of idolatry, okay? And let me tell you what I mean by that. I mean idolatry of self, okay? That's what I mean. if I'm the center of my universe, I don't actually have any space or interest to listen to you. Okay? If I'm on the throne and it's all about me, getting ahead, throwing an elbow, a cheap blow, or being prestigiously successful or loving or righteous or just whatever that might be, that's idolatry. Okay? You smash the idol and you open your ears. Smash the idol, open your ears. So, think about the person that I asked you to write down. Okay? I want you to imagine their name. I want you to imagine seeing them. Maybe it's a group of people. Maybe it's someone close to you. Maybe it's someone not so close to you. And listen, this could be people from any walk of life. Listening and loving like Christ. It could be a phone call. It could be a text message. And however you may communicate, you may email. But it might be courage to send the email. I want us to go to a place emotionally for a second. Think about that time that you remember someone really, 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 really listening to you. How did that feel? What did that feel like? I imagine you felt cared for. I imagine you felt seen. Maybe in a completely new way. So, when was the last time all of us took a few seconds or a few moments just to be quiet? Just to be quiet. Quiet before God. Listen with an open heart. And folks, I mean really, really, really slow down. Be quiet and just listen. Just listen. When you pray, do you take a little bit of time to be quiet and listen to what God's saying to you? So let me ask all of us this, and I'm getting ready to wrap up, myself included. How often do we get caught up in the swirl and activity of all of the noise and all of the commotion that surrounds us and fail to listen to people's hearts? How often does that happen? Imagine what our world would look like if we were slower to speak, quicker to listen, and love one another as Jesus loved us. So I'm going to share something with you. This is something that I got at work. And I have to tell you, I was blown away when I got it. Maybe blown away is not the right word. I smiled. I absolutely saw God present within this person. So there was a gentleman that came in to purchase a vehicle. All of you know that I work at a dealership here in town. And he gave something to me and another co-worker. And listen, I want to tell you, this is something he's been doing for the last 15 years. All on his own, nobody contributes, nobody is with him. He just shares this wherever he might go. And it's not just this little card that I'm about to read to you, but he has a couple of other things that he gives you, okay? So I've thought about this the whole time, and the best way I can summarize this is his personal offering to everybody within the world. Okay? Can everybody see what this card says? And I did not have this made up. I got this about a month ago. Got it about a month ago. Isn't it something how God steers you? And anyway, so the card says, I love you. This card is sent to you as a part of my Tell Someone You Love Them campaign. It is meant to counteract some of the hatred in the world that is so often expressed in bitter words and act of violence. Why should we deny others the love they crave so deeply? Let us learn to love generously, to express love honestly, and receive love graciously. The condition of the world may very well be the sum total of the love and hatred that exists in it. I'm expressing my love for you to help change the balance to a more loving world. Now, I'm not going to say his name because I don't have the right to do that. But imagine if we all did something like this, if we took just a few minutes out of our day to do something like this, to love somebody with the love that God has given us, and we give it to them, we give it to someone else. Listen, I'm telling you, that is a never-ending well of love that is within all of us. It never runs dry. God's love never runs dry. Share it with others. And then love them as God loved us. That's what we're supposed to do. So, as I close, my challenge to all of us, tell someone you love them. Tell someone you love them. And if they need you for anything, let them know how to get in touch with you. Okay? But that's my challenge. But I also want you to know this. Be ready. They just might reach out to you. Okay? All right. Let's close in prayer, and then we're gonna have some music. All right. God, thank you again for today. Thank you for these beautiful people once again, Lord. You brought everybody here today. God, thank you for your words. I pray that all of your words today will find a special place in all of our hearts so that we can pass those words on to others that are within this world. Thank you for Jesus. Thank you for the love, the never-ending love. Thank you for the ability for us to have forgiveness. God, I pray that we would listen the way you listen to us. Not so that we can know more than the other person, but God, so that we may be able to interact, showing love the way you show us love. God, I pray that we do all of that not to receive recognition for ourselves, but to show just how great you are, how powerful you are, and the fact that you can work through anything. God, I pray that you be with all of us this week. Remind us to be thankful, to be grateful, and to be a conduit of your love. For it is in Jesus' precious name we pray. Amen.
We're just going to sing the chorus of the Jesus Paid It All. You can stand if you want, or you can sit. It doesn't matter. Jesus paid it all, and all to him I owe. So sin had left a crimson stain, He washed it white as snow. So Jesus paid it all, and all to him I owe. And sin had left a crimson stain. He washed it white as snow. He washed it white as snow. And he washed it white as snow.
Thank you so much for that. The music was great today. Do we have, well, here in just a second, I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Barbara, but do we have anything else? I'm new to this. I will say this, Pastor Eddie will be back this next Sunday. So, thank you. And listen, thank y'all. It is an absolute honor. Y'all have no idea. I love each and every one of you with all of my heart. Y'all are my family. And I don't know what I would do without all of you. So I'm so thankful. It's just an absolute blessing. God is awesome. So, Ms. Barbara, I'll turn it over to you.
Am I on? Yes, I am. Just a couple things. Glad to see you all here. I had quite an experience this week, too. I went to the bank to make a deposit, and the lady had on a bracelet with a Bible verse on it. So it struck up a conversation about the Lord. It was, it doesn't matter where you are, Anyway, we're passing out our prayer sheets. I just wanted to go over a couple things. Some of you have these in your seat. And this is for you to take home. It's a reminder to continue to pray for Operation Christmas Child. The boxes left here last week. They're in Atlanta now at the processing center. They're going through the boxes, making sure everything is kosher that are in those boxes. And as you see on your sheet, this area, which includes Columbus, Phoenix City, LaGrange, Valley, Pine Mountain, this whole area here, we collected 19,868 boxes. And that does not include Cascade Hills, which usually does about 10,000 on their own. But since they're considered a mega church, their boxes go directly to North Carolina from here. They send a truck down just for them. They usually have about 10,000 boxes, so we don't know the number of them. So close to 30,000 boxes from this area. That's pretty good. So praise the Lord for that. Also, we're supporters of Seneca, Choices for Life, the anti-abortion group here. One of them, there's 2 or 3 of them. But 318 babies were saved this year in 2023 from abortion. I don't have a number of the abortions performed, but it's unfortunately many more times than that. So, and then also on your prayer sheet, we do want especially remember folks that have lost loved ones during this year. This is an especially hard time of the year for many of us that, sometimes it's the first time that we've celebrated Christmas or even several times. I remember when I lost my mother, it was several Christmases. It was really hard because I lost her at Christmas time. So you can go through some of these others. I wanted to tell you that I heard from Christy. She wanted to be here to help decorate today. She has a very bad case of poison ivy or something. So she apologized for not being able to come and help us decorate. And most things on here are things that have been on here before. Miss Elizabeth, I saw her a couple days ago. She was very tired out from her big Thanksgiving celebrations. And Mary Cunningham is healing. She's going to physical therapy. I'll see her tomorrow. So, and then always want to be praying for Heather. Bobby Tilson will be back in school this week. It's a hard time for teachers this time of the year. So the kids are all too sugared up and excited for Christmas, so forth. We still have Rosa on there and Cody, which is Billy's son, that they do have a lot of anxiety problems. So any other special prayer requests that we need to be remembering? Pardon me? Right. And there is Wednesday night service this week. I don't know if you all knew that, but there is Wednesday night, and there's something special going to go on Wednesday night, honoring Wade and recognizing him and sending him off with our prayers. So be sure, if you can, be here Wednesday night for service. The offering chest is in the back. You know about that. And I hope, we've got a small group here today, but I hope you can all stay and help us decorate for Christmas. It's looking a little bit too much like fall and not enough like Christmas now. So we need some men to go to the shed and bring all the tree and all the decorations in for that. And I'll go over and pick up sandwiches for lunch. And so we will have lunch here, so please stay if you can. And anything else, Steve?
Am I still on? Okay, perfect. So I want to take just a second to recognize some visitors that are here. I had a couple of people that came from where I work, and thank you so much for coming. Andre Wedner, Frankie Elliston, his wife and family, they attend another church, but they came here to fellowship with us this morning, and it was fantastic having them. So thank you guys for that. I appreciate that. So I don't have anything else, but yes, we do need as much help as we can get decorating right after church. So if that's it, all right. Everybody have a great, blessed week.